Hello everybody, welcome back to Scott's Odyssey. I figured I'd give you an update day after the flood, day after the major part of the flood, and after the flood reached peak, let you know what's going on. And I want to answer a handful of questions. So, as always, I'll see you in a minute. So my dog Artemis and I, you see Artemis? Hi Artemis, my puppy. So we're exploring the house because although there's really cool things about living in an old house along the river, like, well, secret messages that you find behind the paint that people have written in there from a long time ago. Never fully uncovered it, but we're in the flood stage. So right now the water still hasn't reached the highway, so it's still not at level with the Odyssey. By the way, you see that slab right there? Let me see, this slab right here. This is actually a cistern. I never pulled the cap off of them. I didn't go down to explore it yet or test the water. I will eventually. Maybe I'll include you guys. So we came down into our cellar location because this is what we get on the earlier part. I'll give you an idea how much flow we got here. It's moving quick, and the water comes from all different sorts of locations. One of the locations even being this little fountain over here, just squirting up. Give you an idea. Let's see. Got some pressure behind it. You can see the other ones going. And they all go into the scary sump room. Where the big old, oh, let's see if we can't get a light on. There we go, where the big old coal stove is. And it goes to the sump, which has been running non-stop. Essentially running non-stop for hours. And that is life in an old house. Let me see if I can't get outside tomorrow morning and get you some footage as it gets even deeper. So this is just a couple minutes after we were down in the cellar. Decided to come outside so you could hear the sounds of a town in a flood. Let's go take a walk over, see what the water level is now. All right, sorry about that. Had to spend a minute checking on a neighbor, try and help them through their situation. Here we go. I know you ain't seeing nothing. I'll cut this all out. You saw my finger reflecting that light, but you're not even seeing the flashlight. Uh-oh. 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 Yeah. So, all right. Standing at the top there, Leslie. This is what we're dealing with.
Yeah, this is about the top right here.
About a foot, maybe 2 feet.
Yep.
About a foot. I mean, it's about 8 feet to her, but yeah, about a foot of water. I know you can't see anything, sorry. I didn't bring my super light out. But this is all water now. All the way out. Let's see if we can. All water. All the way down the river. yeah, it decided that it's going to hail. Hello, hail. Because no good flood is done without hail. I hope that turns up in the camera. All right, so we're walking over into the field across from the house, from the ODDySEEy HQ. And we're going to see where we're at. Now, last night I'll put a couple images up of the photos I took in the dark, which weren't really good photos, but they were photos in the dark. That way you could see that. But here we are. The water is receding. Now, this part of the water right in front of me is part of an old run that used to come through Alexandria a long time ago, and is designated in the borough as part of Brewhouse Lane, only used for utility, but was actually designed to be an actual street. That never happened. Let me give you an idea what that looks like. Hopefully the sun won't overblind you, but I'll look in both directions. You see the road used to go up over in that direction, and then it would continue on, and does continue on down that way, and about a quarter of a mile down it actually turns back into a dirt road that doesn't flood out. Here's the field. This is where that little tiny green island was, and just beyond it, let me see if I can do a quick zoom. Boop, there you go. Just beyond that is the river, just beyond that tree line. Bring it back in close. Okay, so the water last night when I first came out here was about as high as this pumpkin I'm going to show you. Got somebody's football that floated down with the water. All right, where this pumpkin was. This is when I did the drone footage. But what happened was, when it got late last night, the water actually came all the way up to here. Hi, dog. Somebody's friendly dog just approached me very quickly, surprised me, totally surprised me. Hi, where are you supposed to be? Where are you supposed to be, dog? I don't know who you are. Let's go over here and find out. Let's find out who he belongs to. You're walking along with me, huh? He's cute. He's cute. Coming over this way. Is that your puppy? He's being friendly, but I don't want him to follow me into the road. We don't want dogs going on this road. The trucks will get them. Hi, puppy. He's a good puppy. He's a good puppy. All right, you go home? You go to mommy? Go ahead. Oh, it looks like he's bringing a friend. Here comes another one. He's like, I want to check this out too. Are you friendly too, buddy? You don't have to put your hair up. I like puppies. I like puppies. Are you friendly too? You want to sniff me? Check me out? I'm good. I'm good. There you go. All right, you get back with mommy too. Go ahead. Good boy. No, that's okay. All right, where was I? That was a nice little distraction. I love dogs. Anyway, water reached right here, right where the grass turns into stone. Now, there were a lot of people, and I thank you very much for all your expressions of concern for safety and things like that. So maybe I misrepresented a little bit. I chose to live in a floodplain. A lot of us chose to live in a floodplain. And with that, those of us who live in floodplains, we're used to this. This is absolutely normal. This is very, very, very normal for the floodwaters to come in. And we watch for it and we prepare for it and we clean out our houses. I do appreciate all the concern, but there was nothing to really worry about. And I'm going to explain to you historically why. So let's get into that part. All right. since I've lived in this area, we watch the water and where it comes up. Can you see that there's a dip right there and how it dips? Now the moment it hits the parking lot and actually comes up to where this puddle is, this is just a rain puddle, but when the water from the river comes up to this part right here, that's when we begin to worry. Last time the water came up that far, as soon as it comes over this little hump, then it floods, and it floods all the way out here. And I'm going to show you where it floods to, and I'll show you exactly where it floods to. You'll have to excuse the sounds of the car. Don't have the microphone on. I'm just talking into the phone. So I'm on the sidewalk of the church. Let me show you something neat about the church. If we look at the front of the church, you can tell history on this church. On the front of this church, we're going to look at the bricks. And on the bricks, you're going to see where the floods were. Down in that lower brown spot, it's not splatter from splashing up. That's leftover remnants and goes all the way around the building. And that's all from the 2011 flood that came through, which was from a tropical storm. And then, I don't know if you guys can see it or if the camera's making it out. If you come up to this level, that was the Agnes flood in 1972. Here's the 2011. Here's the Agnes. And you can actually see that stain all the way around the church. It doesn't go away in these old buildings. But anyway, let's go to the tropical storm that came through in 2011, and I'll show you where that ended up. That particular flood ended up, I'm stepping on the main street in Alexandria, ended up right here. On this telephone pole, there's a red mark and there's a nail. The red mark was the original mark of the 2011 flood. The nail is actually put in there by the engineers to mark the 100-year floodplain. So every 100 years, we get a flood that comes to that point. Every 100 years, once in 100 years. Does that mean that's the only flood we get? No. So we're going to head back over to the ODDySEEy HQ. Yes, I'm jaywalking. I'm walking diagonally. When we come over here onto the ODDySEEy property, excuse that water, that's all coming from my cellar, still pumping out. Come over here and we have something interesting. Right here is a mark coming off my porch, off my veranda. This mark marks the 200-year floodplain. This is how the engineers know. Over there is the telephone pole. And he's right there. And right over here is the 200-year flood. And we had this property reassessed about 14, 15 years ago. I'm going to try and find the other one, but a little bit muddy here. Got to move. Got to wait a moment for the mud to clear up so I can show you the actual mark. Let me put it here somewhere. Come on, mud. We'll come back to it. So that telephone pole right at its base is 100 years. Then you come over here. This is 200. And then there's the one that pisses me off. Yeah, I said it pisses me off because it comes from FEMA, which means you know it's absolute bullshit. But they came out here and they were trying to collect insurance claims and force us to mandatorily obtain flood insurance for one other type of flood that comes about. So we got to walk to the end of my property for this one. Not a very long walk. Somewhere, it's going to be hard to find, somewhere right along here on the road. So, as you can see, it's not much elevation from where the car is at all. Somewhere right along here. Is that it? No. It's right along here. We're going to find another nail. I think it's all the way toward the end of what they call the 500-year floodplain. That's right. They wanted us to pay for insurance for a 500-year flood that comes about, where the water level reaches right about here. And you see the back of the building. You see the land's really flat. Actually, my building sits higher than the road. But they wanted us to pay insurance for it because every 500 years the water gets this high. It's never been seen in Alexandria. Never. Not even in 1936 or 1889 with the 1936, the St. Patrick's Day flood, or 1889. Now, the water did come up to the 200-year flood, and my neighbor's yards like this one, I don't know if you can tell, this yard actually goes down. So they ended up with water in their backyard because their elevation of their yard is lower than everybody else. Can you see how it goes up in a hump here on their property? And it goes up. And the water reached as high as, this is Canal Street. It reached Canal Street, and Canal Street was under about 2 inches of water. And the parking lot over there at the fire hall was underwater as well. That's all the higher it got. So most of the people on this side were not affected, except for your cellars. We have a 3-foot thick concrete barrier around our entire building that prevented that, but we have water that perks up from underneath. I'll insert a little bit of video about that too. But the whole point of this is we're used to this. This is normal. We know to expect that every 100 years the water is going to flood the people on the other side of the road, and every 200 years my cellar will fill up pretty much all the way. No way to some pumps are going to pump out enough water to make a difference. Let me see if the pin showed up at the 200. Nope, I'm not seeing the pin. There it is. Okay, so there's the original. That was put in about 30 years ago to mark the 200-year flood, and this one was put in about 15 years ago. And this is at the same exact level, maybe a ½ an inch lower than the center of that. When they use these, they actually have to take a stick, clean it out, and push it down into the center to get the actual depth, because they cut them in and make them cut lower than they need to be. So it's about a ½ an inch lower to get to that one right there. And I'll put my foot near it. There's the distance between the two of them. That's the 200-year floodplain. So, is it a flood? Yes. The road down that Main Street down that way gets totally cut off. Main Street out this way gets totally cut off. The bridge goes under. If you go out toward the school, which is about 1.5 miles, 2 miles out that way, that gets cut off as well. You get to the other side of the school, that's cut off because that's where the Little Juniata and the actual Juniata come together in confluence. And this barking, this is Apollo. He's my other puppy. Excuse the mess with the orange mesh. That's been there for longer than it should be. I need to clean that up. Got to get ready to mow the lawn. And there's Apollo. Say hi, Pops. Say hi, Pops. He's my oldest dog. But anyway, there you have it. We're absolutely okay. We just run into heavy flooding in the cellars. Some of the older people run into heavier flooding than we do because we're one of the higher properties within the borough. So everybody on that side of Main Street, well, they get into a whole heap of trouble. Not all the time, but a lot of times. And a lot of people still have their electrical down in the cellars and things that get damaged. And then there's the running around and trying to get trash pumps to pump out the water fast enough. Then you got to get the fans all set up to dry everything out so your house doesn't turn into mildew and get all scuzzy and scummy. But there you go. There's a follow-up to the flood. Everyone who expressed their concern, thank you very much. Very, very grateful, appreciate it. But we're good. We chose to live here, and live here we do, and it's beautiful. Anyway, thanks for watching. As always, I'll see you in the next video.
Yeah.